A first down throw. They flip it near side. This is Calvin Ridley, the top receiver, but he's knocked down immediately by Mackenzie Alexander.
All righty. So I never like it early in a game when my second best player on offense or just any of my premium players take a huge knock early and boom.
Tempo from Alabama.
No gain in that play, and here comes the Heisman Trophy winner as a flag comes down. Ben Boulware shoots through and drops. Penalty negates a 5-yard loss, so 2nd and 5. This is Henry picking his way up the middle.
3rd and short.
Again, they go tempo. Henry powers for a first down.
Did a really good job, and you'll see this throughout, mixing in the different types of runs. This was probably one of the most diverse called running games I have ever seen from an OC, and that's what makes it really impressive. And you could see on this play in particular, the defensive line is getting a lot of penetration, causing a lot of disruption. Let's just run this guy upfield. Let's just run him this way, and Derrick Henry gets this vertical and turns this into a first down.
It's part of feeling the offense out. You've been prepping. Now you got to see what they're doing.
Coker pump fakes and now just fires into the ground.
And this is my theory at play. Calvin Ridley took a big shot to the head, and guess what? He is the only player on the field that's not ready for the snap. Now, you could see here, maybe he's still getting another play call in here, but it looks like everyone else is set. He's the only one not looking at the football. You would think one of these coaches would be telling Calvin Ridley, hey, look at the football. It's time to freaking go. And you could see he finally looks at the football, then he looks vertically, then he looks back to the sideline. So I'm not going to say he's concussed, but I will say when you take a big shot early in the game, it changes things. So you could see, what is he doing? All right, this is a clear RPO where the ball is supposed to be thrown to Calvin Ridley. It's not as if he's even running to block this guy. I think this was a good call right here by Jacob Coker. This guy was, pretty much baked in here. Want to take advantage of the 2-on-2 out here. And Ridley, it doesn't even look like he really trips either. He kind of just falls on his own footing. And Jacob Coker has to eat it.
Darius Stewart comes in motion. Henry, not much room. Penetration early by DJ Reader, blew it up.
All right, so one thing Brent Venables said, and DJ Reader was arguably the best player on this defense. I think most would say would be Shaq Lawson. They simply just could not block these guys. And you could see that we're getting some good movement on this double at first, but Reader eventually sits on it and splits it, all right? This is going to spook even the best running back of the season next to Leonard Fournette. Alabama fans are going to murder me for that, but who cares? Double team is eaten, and there's a guy filling this gap. Derrick Henry can't really go anywhere, tries to get skinny, and gets destroyed. All right, so first down, your best receiver gets out of sorts. I don't know if it was his fault or not. And then Derrick Henry gets dominated right there by DJ Reader. This is an amazing call here. Let's get it.
Coker needs 9. Tigers rush 4, flips complete. Ridley has got some work to do. Does make a man miss, dives right.
So, obviously, Brent Venables is probably the best defensive coordinator of the past 20 years in the sport. He says, look, I'm going to let my guys win, and we're going to play coverage on the back end. What I'm not going to do if I'm Lane Kiffin is let Jacob Coker decide this game. It's 3rd and 9. We don't have a good start offensively. So what do? We run verts from these 3 receivers and set up a shallow drag to Calvin Ridley. This ball is going to Calvin the entire time. Watch what actually happens here. 84 is just running vertically. He's not even really looking for the football. You can see he's blocking this guy, and the outside receiver is also blocking this guy. So the sell of this is act like we're actually running deep stuff on verticals, hope they actually sit back in the zone, and let's just hit this shallow drag to pick it up, okay? And just live with the results with Calvin Ridley. Good, easy throw to get our not-so-great quarterback into a rhythm, and then we get good blocking on the back end here. Remember, I say good blocking. Ardarius Stewart, who was a really good player for them, just completely whiffs his block here. 16, we'll talk about him quite a bit in this film study. He has a good block here. We just need Calvin Ridley to do Calvin Ridley things. He's able to do it, and he picks up the first down. One of Lane's better calls in this game.
Makes up for that mental mistake. Lawson back in the game. We'll track his snaps as Stewart takes the toss again. Not much running room. He does well to get 3 yards.
He is small. The Finn now holds up his momentum, and that's what they've done here.
That was a really good run right there by Derrick Henry to break a few tackles and fall forward.
44 carries in their first 7 plays. Pop pass. Stewart with Henry as a lead blocker. Excuse me, that's Kenyon Drake driven out, and that's the Heisman Trophy winner.
All right, so the jet sweep there gets blown up, and it sets up 3rd and 6. And once again, versus Shaq Lawson, this is 3rd and long. DJ Reader, 98, is a really good player as well for them. Played in the league for a few years.
Todd pick up the pressure. Coker finally now flushed, just circling, fires it incomplete. Richard Mullaney was in the vicinity.
So I want to make this portion of the breakdown surrounding Sam Leavitt, and this goes for pretty much some of the other quarterbacks that Lane has coached since Jacob Coker, is what made this game in particular so difficult is Lane really needed to scheme things open. Now, what I would also say is Jacob Coker was the ultimate definition of a game manager, but when you look at him, there were some play extension, Sam Leavitt, Trinidad Chambliss, Jackson Dart type of plays that those guys are making, right? So it's ridiculous that Lane was still able to field a national championship level offense when you didn't have that extra benefit of a play extender. So you can see here, the coverage on the back end is really good. We have 6 on 4 to block. And with this really good pickup right here by Derrick Henry, we have some extra protection. But you'll see here that Jacob Coker decides to eat this ball out there, okay? Now in this 3rd and medium, we can make a strong case that we can hit this to O.J. Howard right here. And if we hit him in stride, maybe that does get the job done. But Jacob Coker does see that a window is open. He decides to not throw that. But you'll see here on this play extension, there's still room for him to operate. So he decides to step up into this pocket, keeps his eyes off downfield, and you could see here that Calvin Ridley is starting to run into this space. Now, this is a far more difficult throw. This is not Madden or NCAA video games. These types of throws are made often in those types of settings, but rarely are you thinking on an in-breaker that Calvin Ridley's going to be running into this wide open of a space. So when you see all of it happen at full speed, you can see how difficult this was. But I'm telling you right now, this is actually where Sam Leavitt thrives, right? These kinds of broken down, guy is breaking off his route types of deep shots. So that's something very encouraging if you are an LSU fan.
Henry's got it again. And again, not much room.
All right. So the run game is getting dominated. Are we going to abandon it? Hell no. What we're going to do, though, is try so many different types of runs until it actually starts to work. So this is the first time we actually see a counter run. Obviously, Lane loves counter GY where we're pulling the guard and the tight end around. And watch what happens, okay? I'm going ahead and play it. It just gets blown up, all right? So the play side guard that's blocking down gets pushed back. That slows 71 down, which is going to slow a receiving tight end and O.J. Howard down. And look at this, all right? We get a killer right here, and it forces this to spill. These gaps are tightened. Look at that. Can't really do it that much better. Now, the sign of good coaching and really good players is when a tight end blows a block, he steps up a few plays later, all right? So we get a blown block right there by O.J. Howard. That play was dead from the start, okay? And what are we going to do? Can't get the run game going. So we're going to try a different run.
It can easily affect your eyes, but that time they were zeroed in on Henry.
They feed him again on second and 8, running right, cutting back, and muscling near midfield. It'll be third and eager to
third time.
All right, so what does Lane do this time? He runs outside zone. All right, so really throwing all the different types of runs at them, and that's tough, right? The one thing you don't want to do with an offense is run too many different types of run plays because you never actually get good at one. But this is game number 15 with a really good run blocking offensive line. O.J. Howard, who blew his block a few plays earlier, look at what he's doing here. Absolutely mollywopping his guy. And the good thing about outside zone is if your interior is having issues, outside zone is a better run if your interior guys are getting their butts kicked. And right here, you can see that the right guard actually gets mollywopped here. And because our blocks are really good on the edge, this gives Derrick Henry some real estate. Man, that is as good as it gets right there. And 98's a really good player. You'll see that throughout this game. And boom, we get Derrick Henry to run it up in there. All right. Now, this is one big area where Lane Kiffin is truly going to fix LSU.
on third and 1. Henry again makes a cut and off and running. The Heisman winner in the open field, headed for the end zone.
One of the best plays to score explosive play touchdowns is on third and short and fourth and short. Lane did a really good job exploiting this last year at Ole Miss. And right here, we get a stacked box, which is very dangerous versus a guy like Derrick Henry. And right here, once again, it's hard to tell the difference between duo and inside zone. I think this time it is clearly duo. If you ask me if it was inside zone, I think 50 would have stepped to the left. Maybe I'm wrong on that, okay? But anyway, this looks as if this is duo. We get a double right here. O.J. Howard, who is blocking his tail off in this game, climbs up here. He feels that the end went to the inside, so 76 takes him. 50 climbs to the second level. We're getting to the second level with these blocks, and Derrick Henry sees that there is a hole opening here. So he presses that hole, and then he sees that it's wide open through there. Okay? Obviously a good play call, really good execution right there by Alabama, and then obviously one of the best college running backs ever is running through there. What's interesting here, though, is one could have actually grabbed legally Derrick Henry's hair right there.
Return from the 39. Henry again makes a cut. Just drag.
God. Once again, just so many different types of runs, all right? This time we attach a jet sweep motion to this to just add a little bit of extra eye candy. It's nuts how diverse this run diet actually was, and that's a really good tackle right there by that edge player.
Putting it up here for this
mark against Michigan State. On 2nd and 3, got it again. That time couldn't get moving downhill and has dropped for a short loss. It'll be third down.
That is this is teach tape on how to do something called a two gap, where we are playing both gaps. So if Derrick Henry elected to go in this gap, guess what? The DT is just going to be sitting there waiting for him. But Derrick Henry sees that the DT is in that gap, so he's going to go in this other gap. And guess what DJ Reader does? He just throws this behemoth of a man out of the way. Y'all, that's just athletes. You know, it's nothing. I mean, obviously it's good technique and all of that. That's just having dudes. And Reader's still in the NFL, by the way.
Down for this. About 3.5. Coker pressure, flips it far side, and O.J. Howard, the tight end, is wide open and rumbling free down inside the 30.
Once again, one of the best downs to get really explosive is on third and mediums and third and short. All right, so this time we're in the pistol. All right, and it's so important to point out, we have shown so many different types of runs. All right, this is the first time we're in pistol, and what do? We fake a heavy run here to the right, and once again, if you're blocking well with your tight end, when you leak him out, he becomes that much more effective, okay? So Derrick Henry runs out here and gets a little chip, and guess what? We have O.J. Howard into wide open space over here. It's really, really, really good stuff.
The Tide do this after a big pass play. They play with Temple. Coker wanted to get into the edge, and now dropped for a loss by Shaq Lawson, who looked.
Why was this such a great game from Lane? Because his own quarterback wasn't running the plays the way they're supposed to be run, all right? Watch what happens here, okay? It's there. It is there. All right, it's an awkward throw because it is so far behind the line of scrimmage, and this block by Calvin Ridley really needs to be made, but he doesn't know where that guy is. He eats this for whatever reason, all right? This is there. Is it picking up a lot of yards? Maybe not, but we end up taking a huge loss right here.
Fourth sack for the Tigers, who sacked Baker Mayfield 5 times in the semifinal. Now some night. Coker looking to the sidelines on 2nd and 16. And takes a shot downfield. It's for Ridley, but it's way over.
All right, let's test your ball knowledge, LSU fans. Where do you know this play from? 2nd and 16, coming out of a timeout, and you act like you're trying to get an audible from the line of scrimmage. Once again, it's Brent Venables. He's not going to get tricked by something like this. And
buddy's vision usually.
You know, LSU was not in a sack, but they had pressure.
Deep on the sideline, Devontae Smith, who catches everything. Touchdown, Alabama.
it actually did work, if we're being honest. All the Clemson players, or everyone in the secondary, is actually looking at the sideline. So this actually worked. Man, this is a really good piece of recovery right here by 25. But once again, we're trying to get trick plays for our middle-of-the-road quarterback to make something happen. And what happens is we don't even give Calvin Ridley a chance. He has a miniature step right here. But I mean, what is he going to do with that?
Deny a touchdown against Oklahoma with a pass broken up in the end zone. So on 3rd and 16, they hand it to Henry, who breaks a tackle.
And we get to here.
Great choice by Terry Dunn Phillips. Coker from the pocket has a man wide open, and it's Richard Mullaney. Stutter steps down to the 45-yard line. The graduate transfer from Oregon State, a steadying influence in this receiving corps.
PHL is proud to be presented by Prize Picks, which is America's #1 sports pick app. New user offer: you play $5 and get $50 instantly if you use the promo code HMA via the link down below. I am going to go with my Tigers today. You can go on ahead and take Joe Burrow, more passing yards on the season for this next year. So when Joe Burrow is fully healthy, he comfortably throws for over 4,000 yards every single year. So that's an easy one, more for me. And just to make a little correlated play, if Joe Burrow is going to throw for that much, that means Jamar Chase, who himself can comfortably go over 1,300 yards. I feel pretty good about that one. Let's add one more to the lineup, JD5. And here's something else you can do as well. You can either flex it or power it. Come on, you know it's PHL. We're all about the power, baby. What did we show last time? Little jet sweep. We already showed one here with Kenyon Drake a little bit earlier. This time, we fake it, and we are running vertical here and a deep out being run behind it. And this essentially becomes what Lane Kiffin does better than anyone else, which is something called a flood concept. We are flooding one side of the field with route.
Now they hand it to Henry, who's met in the backfield and dropped for a loss. Quick penetration.
And I want to give you the end zone copy because it is a little bit clearer so you can see how much open space was created, while at the same time you see the play that LSU is going to run a lot of very different flood variations. Now, part of what made this play so effective is that Derrick Henry is in the backfield, but he's in a position where he's not really going to hand this football off. An extra hat does come into the box with the motion pause. Okay? And guess what? Take a look at all the space that opens up here, and look at how easy of a read this is for Jacob Coker. Boom and boom. Okay, what did we say about the flood? All right, you're going to have a shallow, you're going to have a second level intermediate, and you're going to have a vertical. All right, so Calvin Ridley draws the coverage. This guy, and look at how open this is. This is what Lane Kiffin does. All right, and the protection was indeed really, really, really good this time, and you get a big gainer. So let's talk about outside zone. All right, remember, we ran a lot of outside zone, and it got blown up quite a bit last year. And part of it is when you run this outside zone into the boundary, there's a lot of bodies in here, and this guy who's on the outside shoulder of the tight end actually shoots all the way to the opposite side A-gap, right? This is a long way to go. 76 lets him go, and he's able to break through and still make this play. It's some ridiculous athleticism there.
But an excellent player himself. So Henry loses 4 there. Coker steps up in traffic, drop for a loss. It's died again.
We try to run the same thing that we got that 3rd and 9 conversion on, and this is what great defensive coordinators do, okay? We have a play ready for it. All right, so trips and shallow drag, and this time we actually have a defensive end right there for Calvin Ridley, and it's stopped. Man, that's a great tackle.
Equipped to defend these kind of systems because they're better in the back end.
So Coker from plus territory. Ridley, it's a reverse to Drake. Quarterback throws a block, another block on the edge, and a stutter step move. Clemson fans want a block in the back.
How often do you think about the blindside block rule? I think about it all the time. It is the single thing that has changed football more than people realize, okay? So think about it this way. We give the football to Calvin Ridley. Remember, we are showing them so many jet sweeps. All right, we've shown one where we actually give it to Kenyon Drake. Then we show a fake to Kenyon Drake, and then we actually hand it to Derrick Henry. This time, we're actually giving it to Calvin Ridley, and then he's giving it to Drake going back the other way. Those things tend to build up over the course of a game, and it tells a story, right? We're going to line up in this, but it might look like something we've done, but it's not going to be the same thing we did the time before. Then, guess what we get? 74 to block a safety, and we need our quarterback to block the defensive end, all right? Good job right there. And then we get the blind side. Boom. Okay? Nasty work. And Kenyon Drake picks up a nice gain on first.
He's only got about a 140-pound edge on Green, and now Henry breaks free again. Stiff arm, dragging a tackler.
All right. You notice one thing Lane did in this game that was really, really, really good? He never abandoned any one run. Even though a lot of these different types of runs got stuffed, he stuck with it because he knew going up against this defense, which I honestly thought Clemson's defense was better than Alabama's offense. Giving them all these different types of plays is one way to outsmart them, okay? It's counter GY yet again. This time, we are able to get 50 around the corner. Boom. Nasty work. This actually was not done properly. Normally on these counters, we want one of these guys. We don't want 2 guys just kicking out the end. All right, so Derrick Henry's got some work to do. This was a good job by this guard to climb and actually get to here on the safety. God, it's a good play right there by 74. And we're actually getting skinny. And I'm shocked more defenders don't do this, especially versus an elite running back, especially if you're in your own red zone. Smart to take the face mask. Let's make sure we get him down before scoring a game-tying touchdown. So it's cheap.
A very aggressive Clemson defense.
Big, strong formation. Coker better hurry. Did they catch?
All right. So you could see Nick probably was not happy with Lane and these play calls. And smart by Lane to just come out to the huddle and not look at Nick there. So you got to blow a second timeout. That's not what we want. One thing I'll say about Lane at this point, he doesn't do that now, all right?
Instead, it's Henry. He makes a cut and bangs down for about a 4-yard gain.
No wonder. Louisiana, let's go.
Play action. Coker still got the ball. Fires behind Ridley, who couldn't collect.
Let's go Skycam on this replay, and this is yet again another miss by Jacob Coker, but it wasn't totally his fault. We can get into different coaching philosophies when you're in the red zone. I am not in the meeting room. And I'm really not privy to all the information. Maybe Nick does indeed tell his quarterbacks, hey, unless it's open, we do not want to force anything in the red zone to take points off the board. But normally what you're taught as a quarterback is if you see the back of a defender, we want to actually rip this. Now, this is more so a thing with linebackers turning back against verticals from a seam route or something like this. This is indeed a safety, but a decent throw with this guy's back turn, you can back shoulder this. You could just throw this vertically. If you throw with some steam, it becomes really, really, really difficult. Or if we lead him and bend him towards this pylon here, it could be open, all right? Because this play action fake to Derrick Henry really, 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 really worked. You can see the safety had his eyes on the backfield, and O.J. Howard is already behind him. All right, so we can rip this, in my opinion. It's not the cleanest look. Now, we get to the secondary option where we actually did indeed target the receiver. This is where things get kind of strange when you're at home because this just looks like a really, really, really bad throw by Jacob Coker, but it's not. More than likely, if a defense is sitting back into a zone, the shallow drag is taught to stop right here. All right, if it's man coverage, you keep running. If it's zone, we don't want to lead the guy straight into the zone defender. So Jacob Coker took this as if Calvin Ridley was to throttle down right here versus his own coverage. So Jacob throws it behind him on purpose, and that's what we get here. Okay, now we can get into the actual footwork mechanics here. This is just typical of any quarterback playing on the absolute biggest stage that's not really that elite. Okay, we're here, and then we take a step back, and that makes the timing of this off, right? If we were able to just go our quarterback here, play action, boom, I don't want this, but all this extra choppy footwork, we can actually hit Calvin here a little bit quicker instead of just gathering, stepping back, hurting our offensive line, and throwing it behind him. So this could be on both of them here, but goodness gracious, this next call is nasty.
Coker looks back to the left. This is Ridley who works free and weaves his way for a first and goal.
God. I'm telling you. Yeah, I'm going to be called a big, big, big glazer. All right? They're going to be calling me Jay. They're going to be calling me Alana. They're going to be calling me the Donut Man. That's how hard I'll be a glazer here. Insane, insane play calling. And then we hurry up to the line of scrimmage, and that almost scores. They do pound it in on the next play with Derrick Henry. Part of why I like the screen here is, once again, Jacob Coker is not playing well at all. I do not want him to have to make a big, big, big play in this game. So what do? We run a screen, all right? Fake like we're running something here to the right side. And that's why it's important for your play calling to tell a story. We have been showing so many of these motions with Kenyon Drake. You have to respect it because he's an absolute lunatic with the ball in his hands. And this time we get off of that, and then we're actually running a screen here to the left. You know, one thing, yes, Alabama and Georgia have had the better players, but Alabama and Georgia over the past decade and a half, they have done a better job of running these types of screens where the offensive lineman had to get out into space, right? LSU, we've never been good at that, and we've had good athletes on the offensive line, right? Man, look at that, all right? Is this a hold right here? We can have a convo, but the bottom line is the play call itself is good, and in a lot of instances, I would think that Calvin Ridley is finding a way to score. This is a really, really, really good Clemson defense. He's not able to do that, and we actually Get Ryan Kelly, who played in the NFL a long time. The hardest, all these blocks outside of 16s weren't really that great. We end up blocking our own guy better than we did the defender. All right, so if we get a decent block here, this is actually scoring. And like we said, we do eventually see Alabama score a touchdown here.
He is so dangerous with the now they're out there.
Lead block a foot away from the goal line.
Look at all this meat. All right, so for LSU, this could be Deuce Gerald's. This could be Richard Anderson. This could be Bryson Martinez. It's kind of strange how many Lamar Brown, how many LSU players played two ways in high school at the lineman position. You normally see that a lot at receiver, but there was a lot of defensive and offensive linemen that LSU recruited in this last cycle that also played fullback, tight end, running back. That's a lot, man. These are two. This guy is still in the. He just won a Super Bowl with the Seahawks, and this guy played with the Lions a very long time. And then Derrick Henry's kind of good himself. Look at this surge. I mean, Ryan Kelly also played in the NFL. Look at this. Boom. I mean, that is just nasty.
Can perhaps be more accomplished than Bryant before he's done. Henry, Saban perhaps be more accomplished than Bryant before he's done. Henry on first down. 2nd and 7. Henry has to bounce off initial traffic, but bounces well and spins out across the 20, right at the mark.
All right, you see they're running counter again, sticking with it. This wasn't even a clean rep, but obviously you get a good double to start. This kick out was okay, to say the least. Once again, it's DJ Reader from the backside who caves this in. All right, this is a really, really difficult block for the right tackle to come down and make, okay? And you can see he gets pile drove back into where the run is trying to be ran. He also cuts off O.J. Howard running through here. God, that is just ridiculous. That wasn't even Reader. That was actually number 42, whoever the heck that is. I mean, is that Christian Wilkins?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, predictable, but very, very difficult to defend as he hammered.
Whether or not he could return, Chris.
Has not been beaten for a touchdown since early in his freshman year. Henry spins, picks up about 5 on first down.
This is such a difficult block for the center. He gets a little lucky that the DT here was fanning away from where we're actually running the counter, so it makes this down block a lot easier with both of these guys slanting to the inside. But this guard's pulling around, this tight end. It's really, really, really well done.
Doesn't it? You fake it to Henry. Coker chased and hit.
Alrighty, we get to here, and it's a big, big, big sack from Jacob Coker. We have a dig being run here and a vertical down the sideline. This honestly should be a pretty easy read right here for Coker. If this is open, hit this. It was open. Or if you see the safety really pin in on this deep dig, we can throw this sideline ball. It's not the easiest throw. There's not a lot of real estate to work with over there. So I can understand why you decided to not rip that. But you do have a lot of pressure. 50 had a tough game. And there you go. Okay, so I can understand Jacob Coker eating this. But there you go.
Tigers rush 5 on 3rd and 10. And Coker is flushed again. He's a deceptive runner, breaks a tackle, shows the top.
All right, so it gets to this 3rd and Metairie. This is just a really elite defense making a really good play. You know, Georgia, the current Kirby Smart era of Georgia, they are the best at these blitzes where it's linebackers knifing behind DTs, and that's exactly what happens here. So 44 is crowding the line of scrimmage, but it's actually 10 blitzing here, and 44 actually wraps around him. And Alabama actually sorts this out. It's just they've got dudes. It's DJ Reader creating a lot of A-gap pressure. He gets tripped. That probably should have been a penalty. This defensive end was out of sorts. Either way, there really wasn't anyone open. Okay, everybody is just kind of blanketed. And this Alabama wide receiver room just really wasn't that great outside of Calvin Ridley. And Jacob Coker honestly almost picks this up with his legs. So that's some pretty good quarterbacking. Alrighty, so Alabama gets the football back. and they try to take a shot down the field here on 1st and 10. First off, this alignment here is very sexy from Lane Kiffin. So we have Kenyon Drake in with Derrick Henry, and we bring in an extra blocking tight end to overload one side of the line of scrimmage. If I'm looking at this defensively, I am thinking that this is going to be some type of run. So the problem with this is Jacob Coker was probably thinking, hey, they're probably thinking it's going to be some type of run. So heavy personnel, and right at the snap with the play action fake, all the linebackers back out. All right, so we're trying to hit some kind of up and out right here. Okay. Jacob Coker does a really, really, really good job of eating this with this corner just clouding in right here. Okay. Then you have this vertical that's also covered, and you have a lot of pressure off this right side, and Coker has to take a sack. Maybe a more mobile quarterback in this spot can step up into here to help out your offensive tackles. Coker did have really deep drops in this game. But if we could step up, maybe, obviously a guy as special as Jaden Daniels is going to read out this rush lane and just run and pick up some yards here. But Coker just runs into a sack. Once again, nothing you could really do. And then at the same time, you also have this blocking tight end who's not really a right tackle stepping in, and he's going up against a guy that already has 2 sacks this half. So that's a mismatch there as well.
Now after that first down loss, this is Henry for a short gain. In the first half, given up. Coker drops back, delivers a throw. Ridley juggles it, retreats, gets a block on the edge, and runs a long way.
All right. Then we get to probably the wildest decision in this game, which is Calvin Ridley catching a screen here and trying to reverse field on 3rd and Denham Springs. He cuts back all the way to his own 5 after the catch, and now we just have a blindside block party. All right, once again, that was still legal in this era, and Ridley does turn this into a positive gain.